So we've seen how you can put logs together. It turns out there are also times where it's helpful to be able to split logs apart. There are lots of calculus applications. There are even some statistics applications. We're using these log properties to separate your logarithms. Makes your work a little bit easier because you can do things just kind of a piece at a time. So let's make sure that we know how to work that as well. It's using the same properties, just in the other direction. So when you're expanding or separating your logarithms, make sure you first of all know how many of them you're supposed to have. So here's the first step. Each factor gets its own log. That means that if I've got like a u to the sixth, and if I've got a v to the fourth, that's two separate factors. That means when I expand, I'm going to have two separate logs. So a log base 7 for my u to the sixth, and then let's leave a little space, a log base 7 for my v to the fourth. Next up, when you've got a log for each thing, make sure you put positive and negative signs, pluses and minuses, in the right spots. It's the same idea as before. Terms that come from the top, where they would be multiplied together, are positive. So my u to the sixth log should be positive. Now, there will be a little imaginary positive sign in front of this one, but it's still positive. The v to the fourth, that came from the bottom. That's division. That means it's a minus between the logarithms. And there were only two, so we're all set. A positive and a negative, a plus and a minus. There we go. Now, your logs are not fully expanded until there's no more multiplication or division in a log, but there's also no exponent in a log. That's our down in front property. So before you say you're finished, make sure you've got all your powers down in front. So this 6, gonna move here. This 4, gonna move there. Final answer looks like this. 6 log base 7 of u minus, bring the 4 over, 4 log base 7 of v. And don't get lazy on me. Make sure you're keeping your base consistent. That 7 needs to be there. We saw from the graphs, a log base 7 is a different thing than a log base 10 or a log base 2. You've got to make sure you keep that number written down there. Okay, quick recap, then we'll go again. Each factor gets its own log. Make sure you assign your pluses or minuses based on where things were in the original, and then bring those exponents down in front. There we go again. These lights, heaven help me. All right, while you're doing this, I'm going to bring the lights back on. Okay, I hope you already did yours. Let's give this a look. So I've got a u to the third, a w, and a v to the second. Now, w and v to the second are separate factors. Factors are things that are multiplied together. And those are separate letters, so separate terms, separate factors. We're going to have 3 logs when we split things. So a log base 2 for my u to the third, a log base 2 for the w, and a log base 2 for the v to the second. The u to the third was on the top, so positive. The w was on the bottom of that fraction, so minus. The v to the second was also on the bottom of that fraction, so minus. And then we're finished, right? No. Powers, exponents down in front. Got to remember to do that to keep things as spread out as they can be. So the 3 comes down in front. 3 log base 2 of u. The w, nothing to do. Minus log base 2 of w. Minus the 2 comes down in front. Log base 2 of v. We know we're finished because there are no more exponents there, and there is no more multiplication or division inside any of the logs. That's fully expanded. Okay, last one. Now, I do want to start this one together. Otherwise, I worry you're going to miss part of it. So when you have a root inside of a log, like this square root right here, the very first thing I'm going to do is rewrite it as w to the third times u to a power. Now, a root is always a power. That power is just a fraction. So if it's a square root, make the exponent 1 over 2. If it's a third root, make the exponent 1 over 3. If it's a fourth root, make the exponent 1 over 4. See how that works? Once you've written it this way, it's much easier to see what's supposed to go on. So quick pause, expand it, unpause when you're ready to check yourself. Okay, I've got two different factors inside the log. So a log base 2 for the w to the third, a log base 2 for the u to the 1/2. These are both, there's no fraction, these are both on the top then. They're multiplied together, so positive and positive. And then bring those exponents down in front. 3 in front of the log base 2 of w plus a half times the log base 2 of u. Ooh. And there it is. Don't make that any more complicated than it needs to be.